I thought Sark's play calling was pretty good. It was pretty balanced, get guys out, and Sark talked about the balanced attack and what he's trying to do of keeping this team. You know, you want to be able to run the ball, but you have to get Quinn Ewers involved. This Texas team we all know is much better when you can get all those weapons and JT Sanders and Xavier Worthy and A.D. Mitchell and Jordan Whittington. If you can get all those weapons involved in the game, it makes you exponentially better. And so you need Quinn Ewers to be able to do that. You have to get him in rhythm. So even though you could have just kept running the ball on him, you do need that balanced attack. I'm a big proponent of running the football. Jonathan Brooks has been doing great. We'll play some sound about Jonathan Brooks, too, because I think he has had a really good 3 weeks, especially the ending the Alabama game through Wyoming, through this Baylor game. I talked early in the season about Jonathan Brooks and wanting him to establish his role as the number one running back. He's done that now. Play about that in a minute. But let's talk about the balanced attack that Texas has. Here's Sark talking about the balanced attack and getting Quinn Ewers, getting those players, getting similar amounts of targets for different wide receivers, trying to get people involved in having a balanced attack against this Baylor team.
Yeah, I mean, we try to be a versatile football team, not just on offense. We try to do as many things as we can really well. And I've said this before the season to the team that we're not one-dimensional, and we're going to have the ability this season to win games a variety of ways. And early in the year, our ability to throw the football was very effective. Saturday night, our run game really came to life. Really, the last 2 weeks has been our run game that has put points on the board. Defensively, we're very stout against the run, but yet we're not giving up touchdown passes either. And so, historically, we've been a great block team. So far this season, where we're making our hay on punt return has been with the punt return game at the return. So we're trying to be as versatile as possible, so that when people try to prepare for us, they kind of have to pick their poison. And then it's our job as coaches is to highlight, the other area and to make sure that we're equipped enough to take advantage of the opportunities that we have.
And that really, the pick your poison is what Texas has been aiming to have and the Sark offense has been aiming for the last 2 years. And you thought with Bijan and Roschon, and then you add Quinn Ewers, you have Xavier Worthy. I know Isaiah Neyor, who it's unfortunate that he's not been able to really crack the rotation this year. But those, A.D. Mitchell has been playing really, really good football. I do think there is something to be said about that pick your poison, that when we talked before the Baylor game, you looked and you said, hey, Baylor's not going to be able to stop the run. They're just like, they can't stop the run. So do they sell out to try and stop the run, knowing that Texas is just going to run all over them? And worst case scenario, Texas wins 24-6 or 21-6 because they just kind of run the ball downhill and maybe get a field goal or two more because they can't get that pass in the red zone. But we know they're going to be able to run. Do you sell out there or and try and make Quinn beat you and say, passing's just, maybe the passing game will not be there. Maybe it won't be. But if Quinn Ewers plays like he did against Baylor, not making mistakes, just making the right plays, getting the ball out, that type of thing, then you have to pick. And what Baylor ended up doing was picking neither and letting both sides beat them. They didn't really have a plan for either thing. I think they were hoping that they could at least stop the pass and then the run would get going. And then they just kind of, devote one more guy to the run, and it opened up the passing game. They did get pressure a few times. It looked like there was a few miscommunications. And that's part of that Dave Aranda defense. They're going to confuse you at a few points in that game. But overall, the offensive line did pretty well. Quinn did pretty well of diagnosing what was going to be happening, getting the right plays out there. Sark had a really good game plan going. It was a pretty complete game other than special teams. And one of those pieces is Jonathan Brooks. We talked about it before this season over and over again. I drilled home. I wanted to see Jonathan Brooks be the guy, because if you're a third-year player and there's a freshman and it's close and Sark's saying it's close and I don't know, and he'll even say in this clip we're going to play that he still is looking for a little bit more out of Jonathan Brooks, but you want to go ahead and make that decision for them. And I think in the end of the Alabama game, when C.J. Baxter went down, Jonathan Brooks took over and he says, okay, that's our guy. And then the Wyoming game, he takes over and goes, that's our guy. And in this game, not only does he make a bunch of good plays, but there was that pass where it was a little screen pass and the defense got in between them and Quinn just had to loft it up. And even though Jonathan Brooks has dropped two real, pretty easy passes for touchdowns, he grabs that one-handed and gets down the sideline. All of those things making Jonathan Brooks now, it's not really as much of a competition. I mean, it still is because C.J. Baxter is going to do some good things this year. He's going to be a good running back for Texas. But I think that there's less of a competition of who is the guy right now, who has taken the ball and ran with it, literally and figuratively. Here's Sark talking about Jonathan Brooks and his progression this season.
Well, I think this for Jonathan, I think he got a great experience his first 2 years here, playing with Bijan and Roshan in, one, the type of teammates that they were, two, the leadership they provided, three, the work ethic that they played with, and then four, the skill set, right? I mean, some of the little nuances that they do when they play. And before we even got into the season, Jonathan this year was on our leadership committee. Because he does things the right way. He's got great demeanor about him. He's a worker. He's a very reliable young man. And in the end, as the season got into the season, we felt like Cedric had earned the opportunity to be the first back out. Things have shifted some. Now Jonathan has been the first guy out here for a couple weeks, and he's playing really good football for us. I mean, I thought he set the tone the other night with that long touchdown run, and I think he surprised a lot of people. I think on our guns, he was just under 22 miles an hour, so he's got more juice in there that maybe we give him credit for. But we definitely know we need Cedric back 100% as well, and I think he's close to it. It was good to see him play and get his first touchdown the other night. But that combination of those two guys, as we work our way through the season, we'll feel it out as we go. But Jonathan has definitely earned the opportunity to get a bulk of carries. He's doing it at a high level, and now we just got to keep him mastering the total package of the complete game. But he's been a threat in the pass game, catching the ball out of the backfield. He's ran the ball well, so we're definitely lucky to have him.
Yeah, and that's where he's still. I feel like I don't know if he thinks the blocking's there enough or recognition of the blocks, and knowing where to get to the right guy, which has been a problem for some of the guys. Xavier Worthy actually has been blocking a lot better, which is surprising because of his size. But I think he understands. I think he's talked to enough NFL scouts now, or at least has had, has the people around him that are telling him what the scouting report on him is. And he is really going to change some minds right now with Xavier Worthy. But Jonathan Brooks has stepped up and taken that role.